Some stories, you see, they just don't have an ending. They hang in the air, a question mark suspended in time. And this is one of those stories. It's about a young woman named Maura Murray. She was a bright star, a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, 21 years old, full of promise. Her family and friends saw a future stretching out before her, a life of caring for others, of making a difference. She was a West Point cadet before she was a nursing student, a talented athlete, a daughter, a sister. She had everything to live for. But then, on a cold winter night, that future simply vanished. The days leading up to her disappearance were, well, they were complicated. There was a hit-and-run accident involving her father's new car. A late-night phone call that left her, according to her father, quite upset. Small things, perhaps. The kind of troubles any young person might face. But when you look back, when you try to piece together the puzzle, every little detail seems to gain weight. Each event becomes a potential clue, a breadcrumb on a path that leads where? That's the question that has haunted her family and investigators for more than 2 decades now. What was going on in Maura Murray's world? Then came Monday, February 9th, 2004. It was a day that started with a lie, a small one, but a lie nonetheless. Maura sent an email to her professors and her work supervisor. She told them there had been a death in the family, and she would be gone for a week. But there was no death in the family. It was a fabrication, a reason to get away. But get away from what, or to where? After sending that email, she packed a bag, not with everything she owned, but with some clothes, textbooks, and toiletries. It was a strange collection for someone planning to disappear forever. Her journey began with a series of errands. She drove to an ATM and withdrew $280, almost all the money in her account. Then, she went to a liquor store, purchasing a box of wine and several bottles of spirits. An unusual shopping list for a solo trip into the mountains. It paints a picture, doesn't it? A young woman, seemingly troubled, driving away from her life with a trunk full of alcohol and a story that didn't add up. She was heading north into the vast, snowy wilderness of New Hampshire's White Mountains. A place where it's easy to get lost. A place where secrets can be kept forever. The destination was unknown. At least, unknown to anyone but Maura. She didn't tell her friends, her boyfriend, or her family where she was going. Her father later thought she might have been heading to a condo the family used to frequent in Bartlett, New Hampshire, a place of happy memories. Maybe she just needed to clear her head, to escape the pressures of her life for a little while. The drive north on Interstate 91 would have been a long one, giving her plenty of time to think. What was on her mind as the miles ticked by? Was she running from something, or was she running towards something else entirely? Around 7 p.m., on a dark, winding stretch of Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire, something went wrong. Maura's black 1996 Saturn sedan spun out on a sharp hairpin turn and crashed into a snowbank. It wasn't a catastrophic accident. The car was damaged, certainly, but it seemed drivable. A local school bus driver, a man named Butch Atwood, was on his way home when he came upon the scene. He saw the car, the deployed airbags, and a young woman standing outside of it. He pulled over, a good Samaritan on a cold night. He asked her if she needed help, if he should call the police. Her response? It was puzzling. She told him no. She said she'd already called for help through AAA. But here's the thing. There was no cell service in that remote area, no record of any call ever being made. She seemed cold, shivering, but she refused his offer to wait in his warm bus or for him to call the authorities. She insisted she was fine. He knew something wasn't right, but what could he do? He couldn't force her to accept help. So he drove the short distance to his home, and despite her protests, he called the police himself. He was worried. He reported the accident at 7:43 p.m. It was a small window of time, incredibly small. From the moment Butch Atwood left the scene to the moment the first police officer arrived, only a handful of minutes passed. Maybe 10, maybe a little more. Barely enough time to walk a few hundred yards down the road. But in that brief interval, in the cold and the dark of that New Hampshire back road, Maura Murray disappeared. She was there one moment, a figure illuminated by headlights, and gone the next. Swallowed by the night, leaving behind nothing but a locked car and a mystery that would deepen with every passing year. When the Haverhill police officer arrived at the crash site at 7:57 p.m., the scene was eerily quiet. The black Saturn was there, nosed into the snowbank, just as the bus driver had described. The doors were locked, The windshield was cracked, and the airbags were deployed. Inside the car, most of Maura's belongings were still there. Her backpack, her textbooks, the alcohol she had just purchased. Her wallet and credit cards were gone, but her car keys and cell phone were missing too. It was as if she had stepped out of the car for a moment and simply evaporated. Investigators searched the area immediately. They looked for footprints in the snow, any sign of which direction she might have gone. But the ground was hard, frozen, and told no tales. There were no tracks leading into the dense woods that lined the road. No indication that she had wandered off. Police dogs were brought in, but they followed a scent for only about 100 yards down the road before it abruptly stopped. It was as if she had gotten into another vehicle. But whose? Was it someone she knew? Or was it a stranger who happened upon the scene in those critical minutes? And then there were the strange clues, the little details that don't fit into any neat theory. A rag was found stuffed into the tailpipe of her car. Was it there before the crash? Did Maura put it there, perhaps trying to stage a breakdown? Or did someone else? Then there were the unconfirmed sightings and strange tips that trickled in over the years. A local contractor reported seeing a young person moving quickly on foot along the road not long after the crash. Years later, mysterious posts appeared on online forums, hinting at secrets and hidden locations. Each clue seemed to create more questions than answers. The car itself held its own secrets. Her belongings were inside, but her favorite stuffed animal, a monkey given to her by her father, was gone. Her travel bag was packed, but it seemed to be packed for a short trip, not a new life. The box of wine found in the car had been opened, and some of it was spilled on the passenger side. It was a scene that could be interpreted in so many ways. Was it the aftermath of a simple car accident? Or was it the carefully arranged stage for a planned disappearance? Or perhaps was it the chaotic result of a violent encounter? Two main theories have dominated the conversation about Maura Murray for 20 years, and they couldn't be more different. The first is that Maura chose to disappear, that she wanted to run away and start a new life. Proponents of this theory point to the email she sent, the lie about a death in the family. They point to the packed bags and the cash withdrawal. Perhaps the pressures of her life, school, relationships, the recent car accidents, had become too much. Maybe the crash in New Hampshire was the last straw, an unplanned complication in her plan to escape, forcing her to abandon her car and accept a ride from a prearranged friend. The other theory is much darker. It's the one that keeps her family up at night. The theory that Maura Murray met with foul play, that she was a victim of a crime. In this scenario, she was a young woman, alone and vulnerable, after a car accident on a dark road. Perhaps an opportunistic predator happened upon her, offered her a ride, and then did her harm. The rag in the tailpipe could have been placed there by someone trying to disable her car. Her disappearance, so sudden and complete, feels less like a choice and more like an abduction. She was there, and then she was gone. It's a chilling thought. For 2 decades, her father, Fred Murray, has refused to give up hope. He has searched the woods of New Hampshire, followed up on countless leads, and relentlessly pushed law enforcement to keep his daughter's case alive. He has been a constant, unwavering voice for Maura. The case has become a phenomenon in the world of true crime, spawning podcasts, documentaries, and armies of online sleuths, all trying to piece together the fragments of that February night. They analyze every detail, from the ATM footage to the items in her car, searching for the one clue that everyone else missed. But here we are today, in 2025. More than 20 years have passed since Maura Murray vanished on that lonely road. 20 years of questions, 20 years of searching, 20 years of silence. The snows have come and gone 24 times in the White Mountains, covering the ground, and perhaps covering the truth. Her story remains frozen in time, a snapshot of a young woman standing by a crashed car on a winter night. Did she walk away into a new life, or was she taken? It's the lingering question, a question without an answer. And for Maura Murray's family, it is a wound that will not heal.
Have you heard of this case? Drop your theory in the comments. Did she vanish on purpose, or was she taken? Subscribe to the Dark Case Archives for